I was asked to talk about biotech careers and some of the pathways that high school students could think about going in towards this direction. So I have a link here. This is on our website, but you can go directly to that. So I think tomorrow they're probably going to go through all of the websites. But, oh, sorry, let me see. I wanted to expand out. All right, so amgenbiotechexperience.net, Los Angeles, is our Greater LA website. And this is actually where you would find the distribution centers and the information. But I have a little tab here called Careers. And in here, I asked you to, come and explore. So the very first link right here is the Counselor's Guide to the Jobs in Biotechnology. And this hasn't been updated for quite a few years, but it might be like one of the better resources because it's about, 170 pages long. It was paid by the Chancellor's Office. And it kind of goes through, I guess I won't go through all of it anyway, but the idea is it would actually go through different jobs. So let's just pick one for now. Oh, sorry. Let's see if I can find something quickly here. Anyway, I would say go browse through this with your students. And what it would have is it would actually show you different jobs, and things that people might not think about, right? When they hear biotechnology, usually they envision, oh, this is all the people working on the COVID vaccine and all the new drugs for cancer. But in reality, biotech has a lot of different applications in many different ways. And so, because this hasn't been updated for a while, the salaries that they see here aren't going to be, aren't going to be up to speed. But the job descriptions, some of the work conditions, some of the training that they would need to have, the technical skills, the personal skills, I think all of those things are good for students to hear about or see, to see. Since it's a PDF, you can disseminate this freely with your students. So that would be my suggestion, to have that as a resource. And oh, I forgot to pick it up, but we actually have hard copies at the table for donations if you'd like to give one yourself. Okay, I won't have time to go through all of these, but I'm just going to show you. So I used to manage the website, and so what I would do is I would go through and I would look for short little videos that were interviewing a scientist or somebody working in the field, so that students could get an idea, what does it mean when you become a bioinformaticist or a molecular geneticist, and or quality assurance specialist. My students don't know what that means, and so it's nice to be able to go here and look at videos. So I've given you different links from all over, as well as very specific ones on biotech careers that I knew about. And if I'm going to talk about the internships later, but anyway, the listings are here for you. And then if you ever decide that you want to write a grant that's talking about, whatever, whether to buy equipment or whatever, one of the things that you always have to do is to talk about how does this apply to careers and whether there's a need. And so I haven't updated this since COVID, but anyway, these are some of the workforce reports, in case you're interested, that you could use as evidence or need base for your grants. Okay, and then again, I've listed you lots of different universities and colleges in our California area. So, okay, so I just wanted to kind of show you this before I forget, but we'll actually go to the PowerPoint to show you now. Okay, so we're talking about this one. I'll present this one. Okay. All right, so the biotechnology is the application of science and technology to solve problems and make useful products. And when we present this to the general public, quite often they're not quite sure what that means. So basically, this compiled picture gives you a few examples of sectors within the biotechnology field. And so we have obviously medical research, and I think because COVID has been in the news for the last 3 years, students and the general public are much more enthusiastic now about biotech. They understand the applications of this. They can directly see how this impacts their lives. But you know, this program was built on the pharmaceutical biotech industry and the story of insulin. But we also have medical devices. So Orange County is actually a very, very large center for medical devices. We also have programs that deal with genetic testing and then genetic counseling. So UC Irvine has a master's in genetic counseling. So anyway, there's a lot of things. Paternity, fertility, bioinformatics is definitely a growing field. This is the applications of pharmacogenomics. So I talk about this quite a bit to my students, that you know, some of these applications are really going to be super important. Forensics, you know, DNA fingerprinting or DNA profiling. My school, we're starting a biotech CSI program so that we can train forensic science technicians for the police department. Okay. We have anthropology, agriculture. If you go inland or Northern California, you know, agriculture and food science, Riverside, UC Davis, there's quite a few companies around there that work on these components. And the FDA actually has they published a new agricultural biotech free high school curriculum. So if you want, I can give you access to that, or I can try to bring in the link to the website. So anyway, you can see lots and lots of different subsectors of biotech. It's not just medical uses. There's actually quite a bit. And a lot of my students actually go on to the universities and they help with research. So they can do research at the universities, or they can actually do research at the industry. At different companies, and they can also work on biomanufacturing. So I'm going to show you some of that in a little bit. Okay. So some of these reports. So this one actually is from a 2021 economic impact report. So I pulled this off because we gave a presentation to our industry advisory board earlier this year, and to show that, you know, California still has a very, very strong biotechnology, life science field, and there is definitely growth in jobs, okay? And numbers make a difference. My students like to know, how much does it really, you know, how much could they make if they went into this industry? And this is for Orange County because that's where I'm from. But LA is going to be very similar to this, okay? But if you look, a biotech person, you know, on average in Orange County made this much in 2020. That makes a big difference to the students, because you don't have to have a master's or a PhD to be in the biotech industry, right? And anyway, you have 65,000 in 2020. They supported a lot of different jobs. It generated $46 billion of income to this environment. And to put it into perspective, my school is the closest one to Disneyland, and Disneyland produced about $6.8 billion of income during the same year. So life science is a really big industry. Okay. All right. So jobs are available, but there is not enough skilled workers. And so there is definitely a skills gap. So if we can get more and more students interested in science early on, if they can start building the hands-on skills to start working in this industry, maybe they're not going to go right away into the whole field, but if they work for a little while, it would still help the entire pathway, right? Okay. So I come from I teach at the community college, and so obviously what I'm going to show you is a slanted view of how community colleges are actually making a big difference in this biotechnology educational pathway. So I went through the records for the California community colleges, and all the ones that I've highlighted are programs that have conferred like at least 5 awards, program awards, degrees and certificates in 2020 or 2019 when I was making this slide. So anyway, you can see Northern California has that many, and here's Southern California. And I highlighted the 2 colleges in black because in California, currently, these are the 2 community colleges that confer a bachelor's degree in biotechnology, okay? So it's actually biomanufacturing. And, oh, sorry, let me go back. And this past year, California Chancellor's Office asked colleges to apply to see if there anybody else wanted to do a bachelor's degree. And so Wendy just told me Moore Park College, Mission College, and then potentially Pierce College down the road is going to be applying for a bachelor's degrees. So that makes a huge difference. If you have a bachelor's degree at a community college, it is much, much cheaper. So I'll show you that in a bit. This is the close-up of the LA area. So again, this is what was established in 2019 when I did this slide. But coming up this year, Glendale's coming, Cerritos, Santa Monica, one more. Okay, anyway, there's a few more coming. So my suggestion is find out who your local community college is for your district, because every high school has a, they're a feeder to a specific community college. That relationship is a big deal. Okay. So not only, I don't know, sometimes people don't know that the community college can confer a bachelor's degree, but have you heard of the Promise Grant in California, right? So high school students, especially for my area, I have, Fullerton College has over 70% minority students. We have economically disadvantaged. So having students know that they don't have to pay college tuition for 2 years makes a big difference, right? They have to maintain a C average though as they go through school. All right, so this is my slide to kind of convince parents that it is okay to go to community college, and one of the reasons is money. And if you look at UC, just tuition, so we're not talking about living costs, just tuition, a 4-year college, a 4-year degree at UC is going to be over $50,000, and SCSU is over about $23,000. But at a community college, it would be $11,000 if you paid every year, but if you get the first 2 years free, then it's going to be about $6,000, right? That makes a huge difference. So both of my kids went through the community college for their AA before they transferred to a UC, and they're both in PhD programs now. And it's not like, they were able to be successful even though they went through community college. Okay. So we have a pipeline for that you can actually earn while you learn, because most of my students at the school actually need to have part-time jobs, okay, as they go on. And so because we're a community college, we basically accept anyone that is breathing and over age 18, right? we will accept anybody. Okay, but, oh, sorry. So anyway, so this is to show you some of the different pathways of how people come into our community college program. And I'll talk more about the high schools, but obviously a typical college student, we have students that come with a UC bachelor's degree in biology, and they're not able to get a job because they don't have any hands-on skills. So then when they come in, then they get the hands-on training. And we also have people who are already working in the biotech field, but they want to get trained in a different area, okay? So anyway, in my college, or in Orange County, we set up these 3 different three different biotech certificates. Every college that you have close to you is going to have something very different. I mean, a little bit different, but it's the same idea that they come in to get a certificate training, And then while either right after that training, they can go on and get an entry-level job, or they can transfer to university and get into a research lab, or they can get a summer internship or even a year-round internship. And so our program actually gives 3 certificates and the AS degree, and then with the AS degree, they transfer to the bachelor's degree. So so the community colleges have been talking to each other quite a bit. I have students who can get full-time jobs after their associates, and later I'll tell you about one of them who actually gets the bachelor's and full-time work at the same time. So obviously don't memorize this, and this may not be reflective of every college close to you, but anyway, in Orange County, in 2015, I set up a educational partnership with 4 colleges in our area, and we all agreed on one specific curriculum and pathway. And so we try to teach things that would be appropriate to industry as well as for universities, and then they can transfer or get a job. So if you look, this is Maricosta College, which is in Oceanside, North San Diego County, and then this is Solano College, which is in the Bay Area near Sacramento. And so we directly articulate with these 2 programs. So pretty much all of the community college biotech programs right now have been trying to articulate with the community college biotech programs. And then they have articulated with master's programs and PhD programs, so make sure that the students have the right courses as they move on and if they're interested. So we have some students that go straight through and do all the schooling, and then I have others that take a break, so they'll go get the AS degree, go get a job. And I have others that do combination, they're working as they're going to school. Okay. Yeah. So majority of my students come in, and I always survey them the first day, and I ask them, what do you want to do? No one has ever told me they want to become a biotech person, right? They vote, what do you think number one?
Want to be a doctor. Medical nurse.
Want to be a medical doctor, right? Okay, that's the number one thing. And so I, tell them, okay, that's great to have that goal, but along the way, I'm gonna try to show you some practical skills that will help you whether or not you go to medical school, or if you take a break after university before medical school. These skills will really still help you. So if you know you want to go into a research science job, okay, you are going to do bench work. Okay, if you want to do medical school, you're going to do what I call the bedside pathway, and both of them require a lot of training. Okay. But medical school requires a lot of money, and wouldn't it be great to make some money before you go to medical school, right? And help to pay the way. So anyway, so we're trying to teach students that you still can go to medical school by doing the biotech, learning biotech skills, but anyway, it will just enhance some of your skill sets. Okay, so I do think the biotech that we're teaching is really going to help the students learn better about what is cellular and molecular processes, understand the production of the drugs and the biological medicines that they will in turn then prescribe, right? We need to understand what does medical diagnostics mean, and we need to explain to patients, why do we use certain medicines? So the more that they understand that, I think the better it will be. All right, I'm not going to go through all of these stories, but our alumni definitely have had really good success. So Albert came to me because he didn't have enough money to go to the UCs, and so I talked him into trying out the Biotech program just to see, and he really blossomed. He actually came to work for me, as well as got summer internships, and then he went on to transfer to Maricosta, and while he was there, he was offered a full-time job at GeneWiz, who does all the DNA sequencing, but Genentech found out about him and enticed him to transfer to them. so he actually was so thrilled because he goes to Maricosta Monday through Thursday. They only have classes in the mornings, and then in the afternoon and evenings, he works the second shift for Genentech. And he makes $55,000 while he was getting his bachelor's degree. So it was a big deal for him. Stephanie, she had to slow down her college career because she got cancer, but she totally was such a smart person. So I helped her to get summer internships at UC Irvine, at Cal State Fullerton, and now she's in a PhD program. Bilhika never quite finished college. She didn't, anyway, but she is a senior technician at PerkinElmer's, and Thermo Fisher is trying to entice her to go to them. Neil is in medical school, so he actually came into my cell molecular majors course for biology students, and then took my advice and kept going after the biotech skills set, and then got several different internships both at the university and in industry, and then eventually decided he still wanted to go medical school, and so he's there now. Evan, same thing. He came first year, great skill set. We sent him to an industry for volunteer. Within a month, they offered him a job. And, but he worked part-time while he was in school, transferred to Pomona, went on to PhD. So, sorry, I was going to tell you one more. Villa is my returning student. So she actually has a degree in music education. She worked as a piano teacher and then decided she wanted to do something different and came in for Biotech. And then now she's actually a physician assistant. So anyway, lots of different stories, but students have done very, very well in the Biotech. All right, so I'm changing gears. I'm just trying to show you what high school students can do. So do you all have dual enrollment courses, or do you know that program?
Yep.
Okay, so we actually have college faculty go to our local high schools to teach the biotech courses after the bell schedule, and we've become popular, so we now only limit to 2 schools per semester. We rotate through this, all the high schools that have asked us, and I'll just list some of them here. So I formed a partnership with the colleges that are shown in red here, just to show you the location throughout Orange County. And then these are all the high schools that are kind of feed into each of our colleges. Whittier, though, kept asking, and so we got special permit for them, even though they're not my feeder school, you know, we got permission for them to also be, to offer dual enrollment from Fullerton College. All right.
Question?
Yeah.
Do you know if there's any programs like that in LAUSD?
Yeah, there is. So I don't know every single faculty, but because of COVID, the state of California, the biotech faculty actually got together every Friday. We do Zoom calls, and we talk about, oh, what could we do different? What are the best practices of trying to get, you know, our students to continue? And so we do have a good list of all the college and faculty who are involved, right? So maybe we can talk afterwards. You can tell me what school, and then I can think about what it is. Wendy Johnston, have you met her? She's the lady that sits on the couch in the lobby right now, this whole week, right? So she has been the director for the LA Orange County Community Colleges biotech programs. So she serves on every one of our advisory boards, okay? So we ask her for her brains, her ideas, and so she is very, very good at connecting people. Okay, so she would be the person to ask if I don't remember. Okay, so this is for me. One of my high school district near me is called Anaheim, and so I serve on their biotech leadership committee, steering committee or something. And so, you know, every month that we go to meetings, and so I help them to kind of figure out like the pathway from high school. So actually, sorry, from junior high. So they've asked me to help with the junior high courses as well as high school, and then they actually started the Biotech program at the high school. And so now the kids will go through the Biotech high school classes being taught by high school teachers, and then we are going to articulate to the college biotech. So I do think there are definitely examples of that for each of your local colleges. Okay, Irvine does the same thing. Wait a minute. Okay. So beyond dual enrollment, we also have concurrent enrollment. So that means that we have high school students that come to the college. They're considered a special admit enrollment, so anybody younger than 18 have to go through this, and they have to get special permission probably to come and take our classes. But I've been so impressed. I had a 8th grader, a rising 9th grader, come to my genetics and biotechnology class, and she was #1 for that year, and was like amazing. So of course I've had some high school students that did not quite make it, but I had quite a few that did make it. So even this summer I just finished a course, and I had 6 high school students that did quite well. So it is possible to do that. And the advantage of being a high school student is money. They don't have to pay for anything. None of the materials, none of their books. We give them everything. Or I think the high school is responsible for the books, and we give them everything else. Yeah, so tuition, lab fees, lab coats, PPE, everything is provided for them. So I think it makes a difference. All right. Sorry, do you have any questions about any of the dual enrollment, special admit? Okay. So I think, okay, so this came from a different presentation, but one of the things I wanted to show you is that every school is a little bit different, and so you kind of have to do a little bit of research to find out what happens in your area. So so up and down California state, we have colleges and universities that do Bridges programs. So Bridges is usually a summer program that helps to transition from high school to college, right? And some of them will be specific for biotech or biology. For me, I really was, my passion is trying to educate kids at the younger ages. I really think we kind of need to encourage our students to love science from as early as possible, elementary, middle school, and high school. So I actually went after a grant to offer summer camps, and so I did 35 summer camps, week-long project-based learning summer camps in 7 different years, 7 different fields. So things like cosmetic chemistry, I did genetics, microbiology, biotech, forensic science, advanced forensics, advanced medical explorations. So it was all about trying to get the kids interested, doing these little experiments every single day, hands-on, and then also showing them what career options were available. So, so anyway, I don't know if you can tell. So I'm sure they're just doing some kind of chemistry lab, but here, can you see? They actually do. Here, I'm gonna turn off the lights for a minute. Can you tell what they're doing? Yeah. So we did. So they had to do suturing on green bananas first to show me that they knew how before I gave them a pig's feet to actually then do suturing. So that was very fun. And as part of the Amgen program, each of the several of the distribution centers actually do host special projects that you and your students can get involved in. So in the past, I used to run Saturday Biotech Skills Workshop and invite high school students to come in to do, do some hands-on skills, and then expand it to a supply chain project. Pasadena still, or hopefully will still continue to run their Saturday production days where they actually make the reagents that you all will be using for the Amgen program, okay? Wendy also accepts interns year-round, and then ABE-LA Pierce College, Karen, also has interns that come in to work with her as well. Okay. So when we talk about the reagents that we have to prepare for you, there's a lot, right? There's a lot. So these are, so I don't know if you can tell, these are all casting gel trays, right? And so, you know, in one day we would be making 300 agarose gels. We would have to validate all the pipettes that we have every summer. I had students do 3D printing of DNA models and the RFP proteins. These are all the gel boxes that have to be packaged up and then sent to you, and you know, they have to be, they have to go through quality control, and they have to be troubleshoot in case things happen. Okay, and so here's one of our students doing all the protein purification columns. We teach them how to do agar plate pouring. These are high school students from Westminster High School. They're learning to wash dishes that day. So in my workshops, we rotate. I think Capacity and I, we both do the same thing. We rotate every half an hour, so the students learn something for half an hour, and then they move to a different station and learn something else. So when I was looking through my photos, I happened to find one from 2015, and then I realized I still keep in touch with a lot of these students, and this is where they are now. So you can see some of them actually are working in the biotech industry. Some have gone on to graduate school. Some have done PhDs. Some of them have gone on to medical fields, right? So I'll just brag a little bit. So this is my daughter, who she came in as a high school student to these Saturday workshops, and she's finishing her second year PhD at Caltech, and just filed a patent for, application this last week. Jessica is at UC Riverside Microbiology. Here I've got Dylan. He's now a DVM, a vet doctor. I've got others who've gone on to do good stuff. I mean, I'm sure if I really search this more, I could find more of these students. But anyway, it's pretty impressive that the students that came to this Saturday day, they didn't really have anything, they didn't really expect anything, but it got them interested to come back and then keep on. Yeah.
I'm wondering, like, where are good resources in terms of like building out our curriculum, because I know there's the ABE developed resources, but like as you were kind of creating these things, are there places that you went to for curriculum?
Yeah,
I think,
and I can.
One of the things that becomes really exhausting as a science teacher is just the continuous developing your own curriculum.
Of course, yeah. So I served as the advisor for the UCCI. Do you know what that is? The University of California Curriculum Institute, and that is the institute that has to approve all high school classes before it goes to see if it articulates with the University of California. Okay, so I helped with technology of biology, which is a sophomore high school biology course. I didn't help with this one, but there is a chemistry and biology of technology. And then I helped with the science and ethics of biotechnology. That is approved as a honors junior, senior level high school class. So if you're interested, I'll try to remember tomorrow to give you a list of links to add to the folder, so if you're interested. So why I'm mentioning this is UCCI, in order to get that course approved, we had to go through and write the curriculum, like, plan out what experiments are you going to do in week 1, what are the learning goals, and then week 2, and then from each of those we actually will have links to, where would you find that. Okay. During COVID, we actually finished our online biotech lab manual. It's free on LibreText, so I can give you that access as well. And that will give you some of the labs that we do in the first college biotech course, which high school teachers can have access to. And like the kidney paternity dye, that lab, I did it, I come from a immigrant family, so we're very thrifty. So I learned to be super, super creative with not having much money to do things. And so many of the things that I do is really low cost, and that I put into the biotech. Yeah. I think I was telling yesterday somebody, during COVID, I designed gel lecture-free boxes with battery packs, 9-volt battery packs that went out to schools, to the students' homes, and they could do gel freezes at home. I had a paper centrifuge because I had to figure out I can't buy $500, $1,000 centrifuge and send them home. So I designed paper centrifuges. You know, things. Yeah. Anyway, things can work. Okay. So this was done. I created this in 2019. So I haven't double checked that all of these internships are still available for this year or next year. But anyway, these are just to give you an example of some of the high school internships that are definitely available. I gave you the link for this one. I had a high school student who came to me. She went through my Biotech class, and she then worked with me at the college as an intern, and then she went into the City of Hope Summer Institute. So there are things that can happen. I had another student who went to Dartmouth University as a summer intern as a high school student. So you know, there are some around. San Diego, because there's a lot more biotech companies, as well as the Salk Institute there, they have quite a few. And then I was gonna tell you, so I don't know, have you all heard of the COPE programs? So COPE is one of my favorite places to send students who are interested in clinical care. So if they think they want to become a medical doctor or a physician assistant, I tell them you have to get into the hospital and find out if this works for you, right? Because I was the same way. And when I was in high school, I thought I liked science, and the only thing that I knew about was medical doctor. And so I joined like the Boy Scout Medical Explorers. I went to work in hospitals. Those are all very good experiences to find out, is that what you really want? And then this one is the same one I put on the website. So I'll just click on there for now. This one is actually compiled by a RIT, Rochester Institute Technology faculty member, and he goes through and finds paid internships. Okay, this page is specifically for high school students. Okay, and so I tell my students, don't be afraid to leave your county. Okay, many of my students have never left their county, and anyway, students are young. They're sometimes they're kind of anxious about leaving, but if they can try, if they do go to these programs will have a cohort of students that are of the same type, and they will really take care of them. And quite a few of these will actually pay for a stipend and some travel. Okay, I did these when I was at the university. So same thing. Sorry, let me see.
What's the top?
The top.
The link at the top. Okay.
Oh, this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you just go on Google and look up co-op, so go look up internships, life science. It will be like one of the top ones that you find. Okay. So look for people.rit.edu. Okay. All right. And again, this will be linked to the PowerPoint that I have today. Doesn't go back to what we were at. I just have to start over. Okay, sorry. Go back to where I was. Okay, all right. Oh, I know now. So also last night, I just went on Indeed.com, right? People go there to look for jobs. But I went on there and I just searched biology internships for high school students. And this is what I found. There are some. And they were like posted 5 days ago, 6 days ago, 45 minutes ago. So there are things that are available, and students just have to go look, right? And so anyway, that's what I always suggest to students to look at. Okay. Sorry, this is not my computer, so I'm not. Okay, I think that was all I was going to try to show you. Oh, sorry. So other opportunities. So there's actually a third-party credential This is called Biotechnician Assessment Credential Exam. It costs $150. It comes out of University of Florida, and it's now spread through all of the East Coast and the Midwest. And this year we have an NSF grant to bring it to California. So I'm the coordinator for Orange County. There's supposed to be a coordinator at a high school in LA, but she didn't come to the conference. So anyway, if any of you are interested and you teach biotechnology course at the high school, you can have your students be involved in this exam. Normally it costs $150, but because I have this NSF grant, we are able to sponsor 50 to 75 students per year for the next 3 years. So I just gave the first set of exams. I'll just tell you, 66% of the students passed and a third of them did not. And so some of them are gonna do a retake. But anyway, in the East Coast, it's mainly taken by high school students, okay? That went through the Project Lead the Way, and they went through the Biotech program. So anyway, LA actually has another, so we've been pushing for this kind of credential for a long time. So in LA, there's actually a separate exam. I was hoping that Chandra Arora would come and that she can tell you about it, because she was one of the co-authors of that program. So she's at Mission College. So they've decided to sponsor the 7 colleges in LA area. So if you're a feeder for that, that would be the place that you would talk to. And that would be free to your students, so that's even better, okay? And that is both knowledge-based the base is knowledge-based and hands-on. The Verdugo Biotech is just knowledge, okay? And then another group has created, this other group is called the Bioscience Core Skills Institute. And so they're starting to do micro-credentials for specific hands-on skills. So the first one is micropipetting. Another one would be aseptic technique. Another one would be, tissue culture. So the more that our students can prove that, hey, I'm a high school student, but I really do know this stuff, then the easier it will be to get jobs, okay? And right now, the LA Orange County College faculty are working on having a Biotech Olympiad so that we can get more competitions going, and so then the high school students can actually really, practice their skill sets. So in my college classes, I teach micropipetting just like you all do, and you've been practicing, but I have them, practice so that they are so good. And they don't leave the class until they pass, well, I guess they leave the class, but they have the entire semester to perfect their technique on micropipetting and prove to me that they are really good at it. And so anyway, that's what we're trying to do, these competitions. So do you think that would be a good idea to get your students to be interested? Yeah. Okay, and we were hoping that by doing this, let's say your student is in the competition, maybe when they go home and tell their younger brothers and sisters, then we can get the word out that, science is actually fun and it pays off eventually. All right, so this is what I had to give to you. These are my 4 colleges. Is there any questions? I don't know, was that useful to you?
Yes.
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 That's awesome.
So for the credentialing exams, do they need to have taken a course or?
Well, there's a whole list of skills that will be tested, and I think the students that had the most trouble was all the industry information. Yeah, so I basically gave review sessions to anyone that was going to take the test with me. We went through, okay, so what is ELISA? What does it mean by zero dilution? What do they mean when they say QC, good lab practices, good manufacturing practice? So there were some things that I had to really make sure they understood. Yeah, but there's a whole list of skills. Yeah.
And then LAUSD has certain high schools that have magnets, medical magnets. So I was wondering if any of the community colleges are working with any of them kind of in connection to, because a lot of them go to hospitals to do and observe, but they don't do any of the biotech stuff.
Right. So there's another field called medical technology, right? And so that is more geared for that. The medical magnets. And there's overlap though, right? So like in San Diego at Miramar College, they have a program that is for biotech, but they also have a program that's for medical tech. And some students will do both because they don't really know what they want. So that's how they explore to find out. Medical tech is still going to be a very good occupation going forward because every single hospital will need medical technology. Yeah. So I think it depends on the college that's local to you to talk to them about what's the connection. And not only medical tech. So I was talking to someone yesterday about LA Trade Tech has a biotech, but they also have chemical tech. Okay, so chemical technician is another field that is still got lots of great jobs. Okay, they also have process tech. So that is for in the past it's always been the petroleum industry. Yeah, but all of those fields somehow now intersect, right? Because everything is new. I mean, in the past, computer tech, you wouldn't think it goes with the biotech, but really we now do. We do so much bioinformatics and genomics and DNA testing, and so you need to have all those things. If any of you are in Pasadena City College has a genomics certificate, right? They have the first stem cell culture certificate. If you could get your students to do tissue culture and stem cells, that is a huge, huge advantage because in the past, only graduate students were taught that technique, okay? Pasadena was the very first one to be able to offer that. And going forward, a lot of the cancer therapies is involving immunotherapy, and you need to have tissue culture. You need to know about those skill sets, yeah. Okay. And I'll brag, so Fullerton College in Orange County, we also have tissue culture, mammalian tissue culture. I spent $250,000 to revamp one lab room so that we would have biosafety cabinets and stuff. So anyway, yeah, try to find out whatever's local to you. Yeah. No one here is from Orange County, right? But sometimes we have students that go back and forth. So I used to send my students to Pasadena to go and learn tissue culture because we didn't offer it back then. So anyway, anybody else have questions? So do you know who your local college would be? Okay. Do you have a connection to one of the faculty or the dean or, okay, if you don't, find out. You could just go Google, the biology department at that college, and you could get a list and find out who's teaching the cell and molecular, and then just contact them. But if they have a biotech program, it's even better to the partnership. In terms of grants, I think I've got. So my college doesn't have a grant writer, so I did the grant writing. I brought in $3 million in 10 years, and that was a lot of work. But I think the way that really clinched it is I set up a lot of partnerships. So I would set up partnership with the colleges. I would set up partnerships with Amgen. I set up partners with the local high schools. And then everybody benefits, right? Yeah.
So there's a lot of interest from the high school students. They just don't know where to go and how to connect.
Yes.
So
okay. Yeah. So that's why let's start small. Let's start figuring out who's your local person, and then see if they're willing to allow people to come in. Okay, so obviously you have to train your students, right? Because they can't just call the professor and say, "Can I come in?" That's just that's immediately going to shut the door. So I teach them, well, let's look at your resume. No one has a resume, so that's okay. We'll go through and write down. And you've never worked in a science lab, of course not, but you have learned some skills in your science classes, and you can talk about those, right? And you can think about, oh, I worked in a coffee shop before. Well, that shows multitasking, that shows efficiency, that talks about personal communication with your customers, right? You can add those things to your resume to make it sound. And if you have any Saturday experience, even just one day that you volunteer at a Saturday production day, you kind of get the idea of what it is to work in a manufacturing supply chain project. So yeah, so that's what I would suggest if you can. Yeah, most of you are close to Pasadena, right? No, some of you are not. Okay, so anyway, with Pasadena, they really want the high school teacher to bring the students in the first time. Okay, because they want a strong commitment that they know you're gonna choose your best students and not just send some random student there. So yeah. All right. Anybody else have questions? Yeah.
Do we get a copy of this?
Yes. Yes, you will. Yeah. And I'll try to remember to put in more of the links about what you mentioned, the UCCI and the courses. If anyone, like, send me emails, I'll remember to add
What were
things.
the certificates, sorry, that Pasadena had? I just heard stem cell certificate and then the new ones that they're
So
doing.
they have the general biotech. Don't
Okay.
quote me. I mean, I don't know them off the top of my head. Let's see. Maybe we could just look at it on the website.
That's all right, I can go look at it too.
Yeah, but or Wendy would know them off the top of her head, but I know that I just talked to her this morning about starting the bioinformatics class. So, okay, so Wendy was actually the main person that started the program at Pasadena City College before she left. So college, let's do biotech. So they have the biotechnology certificate, they have the stem cell research and therapy.
Cool.
Okay, so maybe the genomics is not a whole course, maybe it's a workshop based, I can't remember exactly now. Okay, anybody
Yeah.
else? Yes?
I have the page of having you on the certificate option.
I'm sorry, say again?
So I have the Pasadena certificate option, because I was looking at it when I saw it, if you wanted to hear it.
Okay, you wanna tell everybody?
Yeah, they have biological technology, and then biological technology lab skills, computational biology, lab assistant, and stem cell culture.
So, okay, the genomics is under computational biology.
Okay.
That's where she did the bioinformatics. Okay, all right, anybody else? Okay, well, great. I hope that was useful information. So I think we're actually free to go to lunch. So,
Thank you,
all right.
Jenna.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Really good.